Esteban. For everybody else, it was recently announced that Mr. Thompson's school, it's a school called Baxter High School, it's in San Pedro. It is part of what is called the Alliance College Ready Public School Network. It's a charter school network that has been able to acquire a per pupil budget, typically taking students out of LAUSD. It's caused some controversy between LAUSD, the normal public school district, and this particular charter, and some of the other charters as well. LAUSD is not a big fan of charter because we absorb their students and basically transfer money, right? And so for every student that we're able to service, the money that normally taxes pay for the school to do its thing, that amount of money would come with the student. So a lot of people say, oh, charter, this and that, because you're taking money from the public schools, which you could say is true, but we're also taking students from the public schools. So that's one less student that the public school has to service. So from a mathematical perspective, it's kind of a net zero. But then the problem is, of that money that we get from the student, how is it properly distributed to ensure that we're giving the student the best education possible? And from what I understand, don't get it twisted, I'm new to Alliance. So what I know is, okay, I see you, sis. I see you, sis. I got one more. What I know is, since I've only been here 3 years, what I heard is Alliance from back in the day used to do right by the students, right? And it used to be a small, nimble system, and a lot of the money went towards the kids, and it started to become awesome. And that's actually how I was recruited by a very good friend of mine who actually influenced me to leave the state of Georgia where I was living to come out here to California to help with this Alliance network, right? Now, what I noticed is a lot of centralization. It's a lot of folks up in a high floor somewhere in downtown Los Angeles making a lot of money, supposedly to help us make our system run smoother. But now we get word that our school, not only our school, one of their middle schools also is shutting down. And so they had a public comment, and it's 8:44. We have 10 minutes. That's just plenty of time for me to get in. Okay, I heard you, sis. I'm going to accept Aline as well into this class. So I got her. What I will say is they had public comments. Now, here's the funny part. Those public comments, I was told, would start around 9 p.m., 8:39. So I was getting myself ready, right? I went to the gym. I started pumping iron. I'm like, I'm going to let these motherfuckers know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out there. I'm getting ready, so that I could be in place for my 8:30 meeting, because I scheduled and signed up to say something. And then I come to find out, because now the teachers are calling me, texting me, talking about, yo, they're going right now. They're calling you right now. And it was like 6:30, like 2 hours early. Now, for anybody who's a fan of history and understands politics, please know this is not the first time that somebody like me has been told that a meeting starts at some time, but then the actual meeting starts at some other time so that they can try to get business pushed through without as much resistance, because Thompson's bringing some resistance, right? So I'm not surprised. But what they did was they messed up, because now I'm going to share my message for everybody to see and not just the board. So when I start by giving my message to the board. And I say to you, board members, that I agree. It is the responsible thing to do to close the building. We have over almost $1.5 million of debt that we have tried to use to turn the school around. We have had declining populations, student populations over the course of the last 4 years. I think the way that they put it is that there's a lack of community demand, which is very real talk, right? So I think given our steady decline in student population and our budget issues, it is the responsible thing, dear board, to close down. So that's not my argument. I am here actually to give warning to what's about to happen, and to give a reality check to how we got here. Because as far as I'm concerned, and this goes to you, Dan, this failure and this closing is your fault. I place all the blame at your footsteps And for those of you who may be concerned, please know I already told him how I feel to his face. I feel that as a direct beneficiary of a white supremacist system, he's a racist. And he's been in this building longer than I have. And as the leader of the public schools, that means that he has led us down a pathway that revolves around white supremacy and racism first. Moreover, I believe that according to his own admission, he is the leader of a racist institution. We have crossed that bridge already. So here I have this racist who's running this racist institution on behalf of minorities and those who are normally not part of the school to college pipeline. Now, if that don't make sense off rip, then I don't know what does. So let that marinate. I want to say that, Dan, you have let us down. It is you who has failed us. Now, you might want to talk about being transparent now. You might want to talk about being open and honest now. But the truth of the matter is, how many times have you or your cronies been in the building? Except for PR stunts. What has prevented you from going to some of your people in these home office cubicles with a great views of downtown LA and say, you know what, I'm changing your office. From now on, you guys are going to report down to Baxter High School and help them solve this problem. No, you guys want to sit in your cushy offices, wait for all this data to come as if we're a bunch of numbers, and then try to come up with some cool solution that you found on the internet or something. I don't know what you guys are doing, but what I do know is you failed us. And not just me, even though I'm supposed to represent what you guys are about on the faculty side. Here I am, a black man, the only black male faculty in my building. But who's asking me what's going on? Not none of y'all. And Mr. Pablo, don't get me started on Pablo. Let me just stick to some of these notes. So the fact that none of you guys come to this building with interest, with care and concern, because who's trying to drive down from downtown LA to the end of the 110 where I'm at? And whenever I see you guys coming, what do I hear? Complaints and all the traffic and all that. I don't know how you do it and all this and that. Okay, all right. But now you want to blame us? I dare you. This is what I got to say to you, Pablo. I told you before, don't bring my school's building into your mouth, homeboy. I told you that I didn't want you to even imply or suggest the idea that the cause of Baxter's failing was from within the building. And now you done got me mad. So I'm going to ask you, why don't you come on to my live and let's talk about it and let's see what's really going on? Because I got some things I'd love to say to you, homeboy. So you guys don't come into the building. In the home office, you got a racist white man at the helm. You got a bunch of, when you look at the diversity of the top people, you don't see it. And at best, you might get some Hispanics who want to pass as white. So they're going to be all politically correct and make sure that they agree whatever you white people are saying. And that's all nice and good. Nah, homeboy. If you get into a building and you try to make some decisions and everybody in the room is like, yeah, boss, that's a good idea, then you got the wrong people in the room, homie. And so I'm telling you, these are the seeds that cause the failure. And if you guys don't wake up to the reality of what's going on at 850, then this is going to be a cancer that makes its way through the entire network. And all you guys are really doing is proving LAUSD correct. So you got your team of lawyers that you pay and they go and they do these lawsuits and they do this and that. But when the fruit hits the ground, we can tell it's already rotten because of what's coming off the tree. And you guys are not doing us no good. And now you're giving LAUSD more power to say, see, told y'all. And it's happened before and it's going to happen again. If you guys can't figure out how to service actual human beings, if you can't figure out how to motivate Brian to be his best self, then you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands. If you can't figure out how to get my niece Triani to be interested to come to school because it's in her best interest, then you're going to have more trouble on your hands. If you can't figure out how to take Israel, who is an extremely smart student with a stable environment and a good situation, from getting all NPs, then you got a bigger problem on your hands. This ain't on us, fam. This on y'all. And I'm telling you right now, to all my colleagues who are in other buildings across this network, if we don't go back to the root and figure out what's going on over there in home office to where they aren't hearing us down here on the streets And if these home office people are willing to push the down button on their elevator and come down on the ground where it's really going down, especially in the midst of all this transition, come on, man. All of y'all better take notice to what just happened to me. Don't get comfortable, fam. I read his little letter talking about, oh, it's just these schools and everybody else is fine. All right, believe that if you want to. Okay. I don't believe in crying over spilled milk. I get that. But if you sit there and watch the milk spoil and then be like, oh, well, it's your fault, when you got the keys to the kingdom, then you barking up the wrong tree. That's exactly the type of white supremacy, the exact type of privilege that makes you think that it's okay. When you can go to your internet and you can stream live, but my kids can't even unmute themselves without chopping up, then that's a real problem. Next time you go down and you're looking at your beautiful art that's on your wall, but my students don't even have enough supplies to sketch their own problems out, then you might be looking at the problem. The next time that you go into your kitchen and you get yourself a nice 5-course, 4-star meal, but my kids still got to get boxed food from the government, then you wonder where the problem is at. And so I say this, in the end, we've got reasons and results. You can give me all the reasons that you want, but when I look at the results and I look at the fact that you guys are over there sitting real pretty while those of us down here on the ground level are suffering, trying to make it happen, trying to make it work, trying to create an environment that's safe for our students in the midst of all of this chaos. And all you guys have to do is say, well, sorry, we're going to shut you down. Then the ownership lays with you. The problem lays with you. And the next time you look in the mirror with those Voldemort dead eyes, realize that the source starts at the top. And at this point, I got nothing to lose. So I speak on behalf of all those who are me and my allies who stand with me to say, if you kind people over there in the front office don't figure this out, then this problem will creep throughout this entire network and it will be destroyed, not from without, but from within. And I say to you, all of you who are my allies, that if we don't take charge and if we don't start speaking truth to power and start calling out the shenanigans that we see day in and day out, then it's also our fault because our priority are the students that we come to and see every day, the student that calls me dad, the student that calls me uncle, the student that says, Mr. Thompson, if it wasn't for you, I'd have been left this joint. Those are the ones that I fight for. And if you're with me, then I recommend that you let your voice be known as well. Because the only way that we're going to clean this house is if we start speaking truth to this power. And for those of us who are in the building, I promise you, if we don't get intentional about dismantling this school, it's going to go from bad to worse. And so I want to encourage all of my colleagues and friends, this is not your fault. I want to give a word of encouragement to all the students at my school. This is not your fault. We have done our part. The fault and the responsibility lies at the feet of Dan Katzier, this board, and the entire home office as far as I'm concerned, because their inaction, their inability to resolve this systemic problem is exactly the same problem we face in our prison system, throughout our education system, our healthcare system. These are the same exact problems. And if we don't get serious about it, then we have to take ownership as well. So I say to you, think about my words, share this with anybody that you think needs to hear it, whether in or outside of the network, and let us get very serious about what the future of education looks like. Because I am, and I'm here to say to everybody, come join me. All right, next time you're going to see Homeroom, I'll be back on Monday Motivation. And so those of you who are here, I appreciate you guys. Please come back, like, share, subscribe if you want to see more of this. Thompson's about to turn up because I ain't got nothing to lose. And I ask you to join me on this journey. All right, for everybody else, if you have any comments or anything you want to say, please see me in the chat below. I'll take some time. I don't know about chats. I'm new to this whole thing, 8:56, so I got to go ahead and sign off. But what I will say is, peace, fam. The only way we're going to figure this out is if we figure it out together. I'm out. How do I do this? Do I just end it? Is that how this goes? Or do I just